Hi, everyone. I'm Zev Lowe, Executive Director of the Chronicle Season of Sharing Fund, and I'm here with.
Susan Bateson, Executive Director, Alameda County Community Food Bank.
Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Really appreciate the opportunity to meet you at last.
I know. Susan, one of the things that we're seeing as we look around the Bay Area is that there are long lines. Like, a lot of people need food, and a lot of people are waiting in line to get it in long, long lines of cars. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's going on?
Yes, I certainly can. In Alameda County, which is the community where our food bank lives, we went from responding to 30 emergency food helpline calls a day to 300 calls a day. Most of the people that are contacting us are brand new. They have never contacted the food bank before, never asked for help. Two-thirds of them are seniors, which is really probably not surprising and yet heartbreaking. Also, households with children who are trying to educate their children, their teachers, their parents, and they're also workers trying to do their jobs in their home and running short of food. Very shocking. We opened up a drive-through food distribution and went from the first week doing soft testing where we were serving about 30 households to by Friday of the first week where we opened it up serving 743 households to the
Wow.
following week serving over 1,000.
Wow, that's an amazing ramp up.
It's an
And it's
amazing
also
ramp up.
sobering that, oh, sorry, it's also sobering that the need is that great and growing that fast.
Yes, and people are free during the day, and so they drive their cars down there and they wind through a large parking lot and wait to open their trunks, and we put, their food in the back of their cars, and they drive off. And it's very sobering when you see a line of cars like that waiting for a box of food and some produce. This is America. This shouldn't be happening.
But the fact that they're in line doesn't mean that there isn't any food for them. It's a function of how that food is being distributed now.
Well, yes, and that the need is so great
Right.
that people are forced to wait to get food. And frankly, even when the economy was good and we had our pantries open, and pantries had people go through a line so that they could shop.
Hmm.
That took time as well, and you might have seen a line there, but not to the extent that lines are being formed now. It is really sobering.
One of the one of the nuggets that's coming out of this COVID-19 pandemic, I think, is the idea that we really are all inextricably connected. We are all, if we can, staying home and sheltering in place for the good of all. Essential workers are out there for the good of all and worried about transmission to their families when they get home. We're all inextricably intertwined. How has some of that interconnection become obvious in the work that you do?
Well, this pandemic is going to it already is affecting people of color, African Americans. This is the disparity and sadly the picture of our society today. But it's not something that has to exist.
Mhm.
And
So what you're talking about, just if I could clarify, is that the health outcomes of COVID-19 seem to be disproportionately worse for many African American communities
yes.
because of, in many cases, issues with access to nutrition at a young age and access to healthcare, and of course, economic disparities in our society.
And also look who's on the front line. People of color are on the front line. And we're grateful for that. And we have to figure out a way that we, it's like this is such an opportunity for us to really feel the moral indignation that our government deserves us to have, and to really think about how we could change policies and create systemic change to make our society more equitable.
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind when I think about the COVID-19 pandemic is the Matthew effect, in which the theory of accumulated wealth means that the more you have, the more you stand to gain, and the less you have, the more fragile and tenuous your grip on the little you have is. And I think that, like many inequities, this pandemic is just shedding light um, on that. Thank you so much for all of that. We've been working together, our two organizations, for 34 years. What has it been like to be a part of the Season of Sharing community in the Bay Area?
One of the things that has been so terrific is that food banks have always been a partner to this and always gotten a share of Season of Sharing. And of course, as the donor base has grown, food banks have received more funding. And for Alameda County Community Food Bank, how we invest that money is that we use it to buy produce, which means that we can take $1 and buy many pounds of fresh produce because we buy it at a very reduced rate. And I think about the donors, and I think about myself as a donor, and I think about how happy it makes me feel when I know that my money is going towards the health and vibrancy of a community, that it's not, it's given with intention, and it's spent and stewarded with great intention as well. And I was speaking to you earlier, and one of the things I told you is the thing that amazes me the most is I look at the roster and I see donors that regularly give to the food bank who proudly put their family name in and make generous donations to Season of Sharing. And I think it's really cool. I think it's just great. What a wonderful thing.
I know, I'm so grateful to all of our donors. If you are listening to us right now and you would like to become one of our donors and join the Season of Sharing community, there is a link in the description below. Donors are always a very special part of what we do, and right now we couldn't welcome contributions more. Like Suzan said, you're not only helping keep our neighbors in their homes, you're also helping put food on their table, and not just any food, fresh produce that's healthy and that brings joy. So thank you so much for being with me here today, Suzan.
Well, thank you, Zeph. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of the Season of Sharing family, and keep up the great work.